They are not watching you because they respect you. They are watching because they are studying you. Every pause in your speech, every moment of self-doubt, every need for approval becomes valuable information in the hands of someone who knows how to manipulate people. Predators rarely attack obvious strength. Instead, they search for hesitation, emotional wounds, and predictable reactions. The instant they recognize those patterns, they quietly begin shaping your behavior without you even realizing it. Life is not always a fair contest between honest people. More often, it is a silent, psychological battlefield hidden beneath polite smiles, flattering words, and carefully performed kindness. You were probably taught that honesty, openness, and compassion are always rewarded. Those qualities are valuable, but in the hands of a manipulator, they become tools of exploitation. Your honesty reveals your weaknesses, your kindness becomes an invitation for endless demands, and your openness provides the information needed to influence your decisions. If you continue approaching every interaction with blind trust while others are playing psychological games, you will constantly find yourself losing battles you never realized had begun. Niccolo Machiavelli warned that a person who insists on acting virtuously in every situation eventually becomes vulnerable to those who do not follow the same rules. His point was not that kindness is wrong. His point was that survival requires awareness. If you understand the rules of manipulation, you stop becoming an easy target. If you master those rules, you gain the ability to protect yourself while remaining completely composed. This is not about becoming cruel, it is about becoming impossible to control. From this moment onward, your goal is no longer to react impulsively. Your goal is to observe carefully, calculate patiently, and respond only when it benefits you. Powerful people rarely waste energy defending themselves. They let others reveal their intentions first. They never rush to justify who they are because genuine confidence never begs for acceptance. The first principle is the mirror defense. Every manipulator depends on one simple advantage. They expect to study you while remaining unseen themselves. They want to understand your emotions without exposing their own. The moment you reverse that process, their confidence begins to disappear. Instead of reacting emotionally, begin reflecting their behavior. If someone asks intrusive questions, calmly ask why they are interested. If someone communicates through vague hints instead of direct statements, answer with calm silence instead of filling every pause. If someone offers exaggerated kindness that feels unnatural, respond politely but without becoming emotionally invested. Stay respectful, but never reveal more than necessary. This approach creates discomfort because manipulation depends on imbalance. They expect to make moves while you provide emotional reactions. When those reactions disappear, they lose their map. Suddenly, they are forced to face their own behavior instead of controlling yours. Imagine someone trying to provoke you with criticism. Most people immediately defend themselves, explain every decision, or argue to prove they are right. The mirror approach is different. You simply maintain eye contact and respond calmly with, "That's an interesting perspective," or "What makes you ask that?" Short, controlled, and emotionless. Notice what happens next. The manipulator begins talking more than planned. They start explaining themselves. Instead of collecting information about you, they accidentally reveal information about themselves. Without raising your voice or starting an argument, you have completely changed the direction of the conversation. Remember this principle carefully. The harder someone tries to bend your emotions, the calmer your reflection should become. The second principle is becoming what can be called the emotion vacuum. The greatest weapon of a manipulator is rarely their words. Their real weapon is your emotional reaction. They constantly test you. Sometimes it comes as sarcasm, disguised as humor. Sometimes as passive-aggressive compliments. Sometimes as subtle criticism hidden inside praise. Their objective is always the same: provoke an emotional response. The moment you become defensive, angry, embarrassed, or desperate to explain yourself, they know exactly where your emotional buttons are located. Once they discover those buttons, they keep pressing them until they gain control. Now imagine removing those buttons entirely. Become emotionally unreadable, not emotionally dead, but emotionally disciplined. When someone attempts to provoke you, offer almost nothing in return. No unnecessary explanations, no visible frustration, no dramatic facial expressions. Simply remain calm. Silence can become more powerful than any argument. Suppose someone makes an insulting joke at your expense in front of others. Most people laugh nervously, defend themselves, or attack back. Instead, simply look at them calmly and allow the silence to remain. Often, that silence becomes so uncomfortable that the person who made the joke begins explaining themselves without being asked. Their own discomfort becomes their punishment. This is not emotional suppression. You still experience feelings internally. The difference is that you decide where those feelings belong. Private emotions remain private while public reactions become intentional. Every emotional display provides information, and a manipulator treats emotional information the way a strategist treats intelligence gathered on an opponent. Why willingly hand over information that can later be used against you? The third principle is strategic delay. Manipulators love urgency because urgency weakens judgment. They pressure you to answer immediately. They insist decisions must be made right now. They create artificial deadlines designed to stop you from thinking clearly. The solution is surprisingly simple. Slow everything down. Delay your response. Create psychological distance. When someone demands an immediate answer through a message, resist the impulse to reply instantly. Give yourself time. Let the conversation breathe. During that silence, something remarkable often happens. The manipulator begins revealing their true intentions. They send another message. Their tone changes. Their confidence weakens. Sometimes frustration appears. Other times, desperation becomes obvious. The silence they expected from you becomes the pressure they experience themselves. Timing has always been one of the greatest forms of power. Strong people do not respond because others demand it. They respond because the moment serves their own purpose. This principle works just as effectively in face-to-face conversations. When confronted with an accusation or emotionally charged question, pause before speaking. Take a slow breath and allow several seconds of silence. Most people cannot tolerate that silence. They rush to fill it, revealing more than they intended. While they continue talking, you continue learning. That is where true psychological control begins, not through louder words, but through quieter discipline. Reward reversal begins the moment you stop craving approval and start controlling where your attention goes. Every manipulator relies on two powerful psychological tools: praise and guilt. If compliments fail to influence you, they will often switch to obligation. They flatter your ego or appeal to your conscience because both methods are designed to pull you into emotional compliance. The moment you begin chasing their approval or trying to prove that you are kind, loyal, or worthy, they gain influence over your decisions. The smartest response is not to argue with their tactics, but to quietly remove the reward they are seeking. When someone showers you with excessive praise, avoid becoming emotionally attached to it. Accept it with calm confidence, then move the conversation forward. Your attitude should communicate one simple message. Your opinion of yourself does not depend on someone else's compliments. The same rule applies to guilt. When someone says, "After everything I've done for you," or "You can't help me, just this once," they are often attempting to make your emotions work against your judgment. Instead of defending yourself or offering long explanations, respond respectfully but firmly. A simple "not this time" often carries more strength than a 5-minute justification. The more you explain, the more opportunities you give them to challenge your reasoning. Quiet confidence is far more powerful than emotional debate. Manipulators are deeply dependent on validation. They want attention, recognition, agreement, and emotional reactions because those responses reassure them that they still control the interaction. The moment you become selective about where your attention goes, the entire power dynamic changes. Imagine a workplace where a manipulative colleague takes credit for something you accomplished. Most people either explode in frustration or remain silently resentful. A calmer strategy is often more effective. Instead of feeding the manipulator with confrontation, acknowledge another teammate's contribution, redirect the conversation toward results, and refuse to make the manipulator the center of attention. Without creating unnecessary conflict, you have quietly denied them the emotional reward they expected. They were waiting for anger or submission, but received neither. Over time, people begin recognizing who remains composed under pressure, and that reputation becomes a source of real influence. True authority rarely announces itself. It reveals itself through emotional discipline. The next principle is ambiguity. Most people believe clarity always creates strength, but in psychological warfare, unlimited transparency often creates vulnerability. Manipulators study routines, habits, preferences, and emotional patterns. They ask questions that appear harmless, but each answer gives them another piece of your psychological blueprint. What are your plans? Why were you quiet today? What are you thinking? These questions may seem ordinary, yet they often provide information that can later be used to predict your behavior. You do not have to answer every question with complete openness. Sometimes the strongest response is a measured one. Instead of revealing every detail, leave room for uncertainty. If someone asks about your future plans, you might simply say, "I'm still considering a few options." If they ask where you stand on a complicated issue, respond with, "I'll decide once I have all the information." These answers are truthful without exposing unnecessary details. You remain honest while protecting your strategic position. Ambiguity extends beyond words. Your body language communicates just as much as your voice. Many people unintentionally reveal their emotions through excessive smiling, nervous movements, constant nodding, or an obvious need to be liked. Manipulators notice these signals immediately because they reveal emotional dependence. Instead, practice calm stillness. Maintain steady eye contact without staring aggressively. Speak at a measured pace. Resist the urge to fill every silence with unnecessary conversation. Confidence is often communicated through restraint rather than performance. The less you rush to impress people, the more curious they become about you. Mystery naturally creates respect because people value what they cannot easily predict. Machiavelli believed that intelligence is not only measured by what you reveal, but also by what you choose to conceal. Real strategy involves knowing when silence creates more influence than speech. When you reveal every thought, every emotion, and every future plan, you become easy to predict. Predictable people are easier to manipulate because others always know where they stand. But when you remain disciplined with your words, people are forced to observe rather than assume. They begin revealing more about themselves while trying to understand you. Silence often becomes the most powerful question in the room because human beings naturally rush to fill empty space. The longer you remain patient, the more information others willingly provide without realizing it. This principle becomes even more valuable in relationships and professional environments. You do not need to broadcast every achievement, every goal, or every personal struggle. Privacy is not secrecy, it is discipline. Keeping certain parts of your life to yourself allows you to make decisions without outside interference. In negotiations, the person who speaks last often gathers the most information before making a decision. In leadership, calm uncertainty encourages others to reveal their intentions first. Rather than forcing your presence into every conversation, allow your composure to speak for itself. Observe carefully, collect information quietly, and respond only after understanding the complete picture. That is how disciplined people maintain control even in unpredictable situations. The next strategy is what can be called the exit threat. A manipulator's confidence often disappears the moment they realize you are genuinely willing to walk away. Most people remain trapped because they become emotionally attached to outcomes. They keep arguing, explaining, negotiating, and hoping the other person will finally understand them. Manipulators depend on that attachment because it keeps their target emotionally invested. The moment you stop clinging to the relationship, the argument, or the need for approval, the balance of power begins to shift. Quiet detachment creates a kind of psychological pressure that no amount of shouting can achieve. When your attitude communicates, "I choose to be here, but I don't need to stay," people immediately recognize that they can no longer control you through fear of loss. That quiet independence often speaks louder than any confrontation ever could. The true strength of the exit threat is that it is never performed as a bluff. Manipulators quickly recognize empty threats, dramatic ultimatums, and emotional outbursts. What they struggle to handle is quiet certainty. When you genuinely accept that your peace of mind is worth more than any relationship, job, or situation built on manipulation, you stop negotiating with disrespect. You stop trying to convince people to value you. Instead, you quietly prepare your alternatives, strengthen your independence, and make decisions without seeking permission. In a toxic relationship, this may mean refusing to argue every time someone twists your words. You calmly state your boundary once, and if it continues to be ignored, you reduce your presence instead of increasing your explanations. Your silence is no longer a punishment, it is simply evidence that you value your own peace. In a professional setting, it may mean documenting your work, expanding your network, improving your skills, and creating better opportunities elsewhere instead of wasting energy fighting office politics. When the right moment arrives, you leave with dignity rather than desperation. The greatest source of leverage is always having the freedom to walk away. This freedom must be built quietly. It begins with controlling your time. You do not need to answer every message immediately or explain every absence. Let people understand that your attention is valuable, not endlessly available. It also requires emotional discipline. When someone disrespects you, resist the temptation to react impulsively. Calmness often communicates greater confidence than anger ever could. Finally, develop financial and mental independence. The more your happiness depends on one person, one paycheck, or one source of approval, the easier it becomes for others to manipulate you. Every new skill you learn, every meaningful relationship you build, and every opportunity you create becomes another step toward genuine freedom. Independence is not about isolation. It is about ensuring that your choices come from confidence rather than fear. Machiavelli observed that people often respect what they believe they could lose. The strongest individuals rarely threaten others directly. Their confidence comes from knowing they are capable of leaving without bitterness or revenge. They understand that every healthy relationship should exist by choice, not by emotional captivity. Once people realize they cannot control you through guilt, fear, or constant pressure, they are forced to treat you differently. Those who truly respect you will honor your boundaries. Those who only valued your obedience will reveal their real intentions. Either outcome gives you clarity, and clarity is always more valuable than comfortable illusions. The final principle is what can be called playing dumb. At first, this strategy sounds counterintuitive because many people believe intelligence must constantly prove itself. In reality, the most dangerous person in the room is often the one who notices everything while revealing almost nothing. Manipulators expect resistance because resistance confirms that their tactics are working. They expect arguments, emotional reactions, and endless attempts to defend personal dignity. Instead, imagine recognizing the manipulation while refusing to acknowledge it openly. Someone makes a passive-aggressive comment designed to provoke you. You simply smile politely and continue the conversation. Someone asks a loaded question meant to trap you. You answer briefly without giving them emotional fuel. Outwardly, it appears as though you missed the trap completely, while inwardly, you have already identified exactly what they are trying to accomplish. Patience transforms this strategy into real power. You do not expose manipulation the moment you notice it. You observe. You collect patterns. You allow people to become comfortable enough to reveal their habits. The manipulator begins believing that you are unaware, and because of that false confidence, they become careless. They repeat the same behavior again and again, leaving behind evidence that is impossible to deny. When the appropriate moment finally arrives, you respond calmly, using facts instead of emotions. There is no dramatic confrontation, no shouting, and no desperate attempt to prove your point. Your preparation speaks louder than your words ever could. The goal was never to win an argument. The goal was to ensure they never truly had control over you. By now, your mindset has completely changed. You no longer feel compelled to explain every silence or justify every decision. You understand that confidence does not require constant validation. Instead of reacting to every criticism, you evaluate whether a response is even necessary. Instead of chasing acceptance, you allow your actions to establish your reputation. Manipulators survive by feeding on emotional energy, but you have learned to stop supplying it. The habits that once made you predictable, over-explaining, people-pleasing, defending yourself endlessly, and reacting impulsively, have been replaced with observation, patience, and deliberate action. You now understand that stillness can carry more authority than noise, and restraint often demonstrates more strength than aggression. Real psychological strength is not about intimidating others or controlling every conversation. It is about mastering yourself so completely that other people's manipulation loses its effect. When someone attempts to provoke you, you remain composed. When someone seeks information they have not earned, you protect your privacy. When someone tries to rush your decisions, you slow the pace. When someone attempts to control you through praise or guilt, you refuse to let your emotions become bargaining chips. Every one of these choices strengthens your independence until manipulation simply stops working. The greatest victory is not making manipulators fear you. The greatest victory is reaching a point where their tactics no longer influence your thoughts, emotions, or decisions. You no longer measure your worth by external approval. You no longer feel responsible for fixing people who refuse to respect you. You recognize that peace is more valuable than unnecessary conflict, and that discipline is stronger than emotional impulse. Once you reach that state, you become difficult to read, difficult to pressure, and nearly impossible to manipulate. Your silence carries intention. Your confidence comes from within. Your actions are guided by purpose instead of emotion. That is the difference between someone who is constantly reacting to the world and someone who quietly shapes it. From this moment forward, your greatest advantage is no longer force. It is self-control. And once you master yourself, you become the one thing every manipulator fears most, a person they can no longer control.